My name is Leonieke Boogaard. I'm speaking for Peers4Parents. We all know that parenting a gifted child can be a challenge. But what if you were born in another country than the one you live in now? If you don't know the educational system? If you perhaps don't even speak the language that well? What if teachers are used to treating children from your country as disadvantaged students instead of pupils with a great potential? How many extra challenges do you have then in guiding your gifted child? Let me tell you about a boy from Moroccan origin I met 13 years ago when I volunteered to coach him as he made a transition from primary school to secondary education. In the Netherlands, students take a test in the last year of primary school to decide what's the best option for them in secondary school if we have different high school levels. This boy, let's call him Adam, reached the highest level on the test and very much wanted to go to the gymnasium, which is the highest level of secondary education in the Netherlands, where you learn Greek and Latin and are prepared to go to university. But his teacher tried to talk him out of it. Adam, what if you don't succeed? Then you have to leave school and go to another school. You could better start at a lower level so you don't have to change schools. Luckily, his mother supported him. Although she was born in Morocco, didn't know the educational system, she said, if that's what you want, you will go there. And in my work, I've seen that a lot of children with a migration background who succeed in education have a very supportive mother or other female relative. So Adam started the gymnasium and he did very well. He even had the highest scores on his test of the Dutch language. But in spite of that, he was sent to a language support class, purely on the basis of his last name. I've never seen him that furious. This boy was so intelligent that he decided when he was only 7 years old that he had to learn the Dutch language properly if he wanted to succeed. So he started to go to the library on his own every week to borrow Dutch books, because at home they only spoke Berber, one of the two languages in Morocco. Having to go to this language support class was only one of the many occasions where he didn't feel seen and appreciated, and where he felt like an outsider who didn't belong in this very white school. At the same time, being in the gymnasium made him enter a whole new world. He hadn't been to a museum or other cultural activities, as most of his classmates were already used to. He enjoyed learning so many new things and subjects, but he also felt very lonely, and it led to severe depression in the 4th grade of the gymnasium. Other Moroccan boys I spoke with had similar experiences. Every single one of them took a gap year after finishing the gymnasium because they were so tired of the constant code hopping, constant feeling they didn't belong, of never being fully accepted by their classmates. They took a break, despite the fact they had no trouble with the school subjects. They all got very good grades without very much effort. But not being seen by their teachers and classmates is not the only problem. Another Moroccan boy I spoke with, a school dropout, sitting at my table, sighed, but you know, giftedness doesn't even exist in Morocco. And indeed, some of the parents with a migration background come from countries where nobody talks about giftedness. Others come from countries where there are programs for gifted, or it's at least a known concept. So just like the children themselves, the parents with a migration background are also a very diverse group. When at first we had to deal with parents who weren't born in the Netherlands and often didn't have much education themselves, they tended to see the teacher as the professional who was always right. They didn't question the advice the teacher gave for the level of secondary education, while their children were often frustrated because even when they had the same test scores as some of their classmates, they were advised to go to a lower level of secondary education. Research from Maurice Kroll shows that with an average test score, children of highly educated parents have a 50% chance to being advised to go to one of the highest levels of secondary education, while children with the same test score, but with parents with low education, only have a 25% chance to get the same advice. Fortunately, this situation is now slowly changing. The children who got the secondary school advice that was too low 20 years ago are now parents themselves and are very eager to make sure that won't happen to their children. So, as their mothers in most cases just follow the teacher's advice, these mothers are fighting like tigers to make sure their kids will be on the right level of secondary education, the level they deserve, and that gives them the best opportunities for further education. But the pitfall of this situation is that in a lot of cases, they care mostly about school results and don't always take into consideration the other needs of their gifted children. Peers4Parents is a Dutch organization based on the Sang model parent groups, and the professional facilitators of Peers4Parents, we have about 80 now in the Netherlands, reach out to parents of gifted children to let them experience how they can continue to contribute to their children's well-being based on their own strength and individuality as parents. Peers4Parents focuses on social and emotional well-being because emotional well-being is the most important and determining factor for the future well-being and happiness of gifted children. Lots of parents have already taken part in one of the Peers4Parents programs, but parents with a migration background weren't among them. That's why a small group of facilitators has decided to organize special evenings for parents with a migration background. On the one hand, to give those parents an opportunity to experience what such a program could mean for them, and on the other hand, an opportunity for the facilitators to investigate if, and if so, how, the Peers4Parents program should be adapted for this special group of parents. These facilitators all had extensive networks and posted about the meetings on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, where the messages were liked and shared multiple times. We made connections with social workers in the area where a lot of these parents live, and some of us who work for a school even called all the parents of gifted children in our target group. And the result of all our efforts, our mailboxes remained quite empty. It was apparent that this was not the way to proceed. We needed to have a more personal approach. Parents were afraid, and trust is very important. They were afraid that if they participated, this could have consequences for their children. They were afraid this could impact the school careers of their children. They were even afraid if they would share their worries in such a group, social workers and other professionals would intervene, and they would even risk losing their children if they were deemed unfit parents. And who can blame them? There are examples where professionals intervened and such things happened. And look at us. We mean well, our intentions are good, but there is something very different about us. We are all white, privileged women. Peers4Parents is about being equal, about being amongst peers, about understanding each other. And who could blame them when they did not know us to be afraid that we would tell them how to run their lives, intervene, not understand the challenges they had to face as a family. Trust is critical. And we started to reach out to people who knew us, people whom we had already spoken with, sometimes multiple times, people within neighborhood WhatsApp groups we had participated in for quite some time. People had to experience that we understood them prior to to experience the Peers4Parents. And when we followed that approach, people started signing up. During the meetings, the parents finally felt like they were being seen. Almost all parents spoke about what it felt not to be seen at school when they were children. Most got advice for secondary school that was way too low and not in line with their performance on tests. There was a lot of recognition, and they were very motivated to make sure things would be better for their children. We spoke about behavior and acting out because the school system didn't fit. how people did not see the reason for this behavior. We also saw that a lot of these gifted kids, even if they had a test to prove they were gifted, still were not allowed to gifted programs, while other kids in their class, white kids, did go there. When one of the mothers asked the teacher why her kid did not get the extra challenge, the teacher answered he had to ask for it himself. And the mother answered, he's asking for it through his behavior, isn't he? We also spoke about perfectionism, feeling like you had to work harder than everyone else to get the same result. As Adam, the boy I spoke of earlier, said to me, I'm always 2-0 behind. I always have to make 2 goals before I even can participate in the game. We spoke about feeling different to the children in your class, but also different to the people who live near you, like there's no real place where you actually fit in. When they talk with us or are in a Peers4Parents group, it's often the first time the parents feel seen and understood. We talked about the cultural differences and how about being gifted means something else in each culture. How in some cultures it's very important and in other cultures it is as if it doesn't exist. The parents flourished. They finally felt seen and they were among actual peers. They felt a connection they had not experienced before and they could take what they had learned from each other home to be even better parents for their gifted children. It was obvious that this type of Peers4Parents meetings would benefit parents in similar situations. So, if you're like me, listening to this and you are eager to make a difference, you want to reach out to these parents, but at the same time, the difficulties we had reaching out to the parents are in the back of your mind. Your time is limited, so you need to proceed in a way that has the highest chance of success. That's why we want to share some of our findings to help you proceed. First of all, invest in the relationship you have with people with a migration background. People need to trust you or they won't come. The level of trust will increase if the facilitators are also peers at all levels. We strongly encourage people with a migration background to become facilitators and make a difference for parents like them. Second, contrary to the regular parent programs, we found that people are more likely to participate if the Peers4Parents programs are being organized by the school their children attend, because reaching out to these parents takes more effort than ordinary Peers4Parents programs. Make sure the facilitators are people who have an intrinsic motivation to use these meetings to make a difference for these parents. Select professionals and parents who truly care about this mission. In the regular Peers4Parents program, we work with a book written by James Webb, Guiding Your Gifted Child, and parents are asked to read 1 or more chapters prior to each meeting. This doesn't always work for this group, so we recommend giving a small mini lecture before each meeting or sharing the necessary information prior to the meeting as an audio or video file. And the last tip we would like to share is that we have to consider the price level. If we want to reach these parents, we should make sure it's affordable for them. And we should find volunteers or people who want to run the programs at a reduced rate to make this possible. Also, if you have connections within local government or school systems, investigate whether it's possible to subsidize the program for these parents. If that's your place of work and you see the possibilities, we would love to be in touch. To illustrate what a difference it can make if children with a migration background and their families are empowered, I would very much like to share with you the story of Miada. Miada is the daughter of Somali refugees. She tells us in her own words, in her motivational letter, what inspired her to choose the study of medicine. She wrote this when she was still in school, preparing for her final exams and hoping to get accepted at the university. I will read some parts of her letter to you. Medicine is the ultimate combination of science and communication and still has a wide range of specialties. Working in a care home for almost a year has developed my social skills and made me do research on dementia after attending events and talking with staff and experts. Working at a clothing store made me learn how to deal with people with dementia since a lot of our customers are elderly women. I've learned about teamwork, social skills, and being confident. The motto, "Customer is king," also applies to patients in healthcare. That's why the GAIN skills can benefit me in the future. I want to help women from all ages and backgrounds, from women having infertility problems to those having Alzheimer's disease and everything in between. My background and upbringing taught me why to help others and how. As a daughter of Somali refugees, my mindset and dreams have been different from others. In 25 years, I want to establish my own women's health clinic in Somalia, where I want to tackle great issues like the high rate of infant mortality and female genital mutilation. In fact, Somalia has the third highest rate of infant mortality in the world. I followed a 3-year school program for gifted children and have learned a lot about myself and gained new skills such as creativity and teamwork. I always take others and their ideas into account without losing my own views. This program helped me push myself and others and set goals. It means, for example, keeping the world of medicine innovative yet approachable for all. At the moment, I'm doing research on dementia since a lot of women have dementia and it's not curable yet. Moreover, my environment and also the many languages I was taught me to understand language barriers and the influence of it in communication in healthcare. Miada was indeed accepted last year at the Free University in Amsterdam to study medicine, and this year she has been selected for an Erasmus exchange program at the University of Leicester in the United Kingdom. So in her case, the gifted program at school and the support of her aunt helped her reach her goal. I want to thank you all for your attention. Hopefully you all feel inspired by the stories of Miada, Adam, and other children and parents we talked about today. If you want to talk more about ideas you have that can make the difference for these parents and their children, you can always reach our team of facilitators. Hopefully, together, we can make a difference.